And at Abdiaziz Hashim 2, and of course we'll be sampling some of your views in regards to the stories we have prepared for you this afternoon. And of course my name is Abdiaziz Hashim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Lensa Odingo. But before we tell you an update on the examinations, let's start with the head of state, where President William Ruto says the reforms instituted at the Kenya Forest Service 2 years ago are finally paying off, with illegal logging reducing by 90% in the same period. The head of state further revealed that the Forest Service now largely runs its operations from internally generated revenue, hence reducing dependency on the exchequer. President Ruto says that the trajectory should be emulated by other government agencies. He spoke during the graduation of the Kenya Forest Service Inspector Cadets and Forester trainees at the National Youth Service headquarters in Gilgil, Nakuru County.
It is time that we stopped believing in the fake news and in the propaganda that is hurting our nation, because looking at the Kenya Forest Service in the last 2 years, the transformation is phenomenal. What has been achieved in the last 2 years, reducing illegal logging and forest criminal activity by 90%, is something we should be proud of. The fact that Kenya Forest Service now can raise its own resources, that is not just happening in the Kenya Forest Service, it is happening in the Kenya Wildlife Service, it is happening in the National Youth Service, it is happening in all our other services.
We'll have more details in our subsequent bulletins. Now to the world of politics, where Party of National Unity PNU leader Peter Munya has called out the national government's proposal to contract a Adani company to expand and manage Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in a public-private partnership arrangement without public participation. Speaking while opening a PNU party branch office in Mailitatu Shopping Center in Igembe Central, Meru County, Munya also sympathized with Kenyans facing challenges to access the new Social Health Insurance Fund benefits, saying that the system was hurriedly rushed at the expense of the Kenyans seeking medical care.
Na sisi tumesema chama yetu ni hiyo ndio tutakuwa naye, tusungumze na hao wengine ambao wanataka kura huko mbele. Saa hii hatusemi ni nani. Bana, tutasema ni nani wakati kifika, tuongee tuone nani atahudumia maslahi yetu. Sikufuata tu. Ndio unaona wengine wanasumbuliwa kama Gachagua. Unaona anasumbuliwa kwa sababu aliingia nyumba ya wenyewe. Kweli. Si aliingia nyumba ya wenyewe?
Of Kilifi County claim their lives are in. Ngolo claims that he was ambushed by a group of youth at his home in August on accusations of bewitching a neighbor's son, who later died while undergoing treatment. Incidentally, the neighbor John Safari, alongside a Daniel Kalama, a village elder from Bungale, also said that their lives are in danger. The trio says it is not the first time such reports are made to police and action is not taken, leading to brutal murders of innocent people on allegations of being witches.
Tunashuku kwa sababu hao maskari tuliwaambia wale vijana, wakawaandika majina na hata wakawapea barua ili wakuja hapo polisi, lakini mwisho wake wale vijana wakaachiliwa. Sasa tunashuku labda kuna mambo fulani ambayo yanaendelea baina ya hao vijana na hao polisi. Manake mpaka saa hii sijapata usaidizi.
Mimi niko hatarini kwa sababu ilibidi nirudi pale nyumbani, kwa sababu katika ikifika usiku boma langu kuna tupwa mawe, mambo tochi zinapigwa, nikaona kwamba nawahatarisha hata ile jamii yangu. Kasema kama nikufa ninarudi pale. Sasa ninazungushwa, hata sasa bado sijapata haki.
Now, over 3,000 residents in Homa Bay County received free medical services during a health camp organized by Safaricom Foundation in partnership with Zuri Health, Amref Health Africa and other stakeholders. Now, Safaricom Foundation's program manager, Sophie Onyango, said that the objective of the camp is to create awareness on diseases like fistula, cancer and hypertension among local communities. Homa Bay County Health Chief Officer Kevin Osuri encouraged residents to register with the Social Health Authority for access to affordable medical services at the local health facilities.
Disease that we've realized people are suffering from, but they're not coming out to be treated. So as M-Pesa Foundation, we want to contribute to the eradication of fistula by the year 2030.
Through the assistance of SHA, that we are not turning any patient away, but we are recording that now manually, even if you had registered on NHIF before. So we are encouraging the members of the public to liaise to walk into any health facility or to liaise with any of our CHPs, and they'll be assisted on how to register.
Elsewhere, police have confiscated and destroyed more than 20 coin slot gambling machines in Athi River and Mlolongo after an intensified campaign against gambling prompted by the outcry of members of the public. Machakos County Commissioner Josephine Ouko cautioned people against spending their hard-earned monies on gambling. The gambling machines are said to harbor crime as idle youths flock to the premises, which are allegedly located in back streets.
Tunashika hii loto kwa sababu wale ambao wameweka hizi loto machine hawana license. Pili, hizo loto machines imetuletea shida mingi sana. Watu wanaiba pesa, inaleta uwizi, watu wanaiba pesa ndio waende wacheze loto kwa sababu wanataka kunufaika na wanataka kukua matajiri kwa njia haraka. Hii kitu sio mzuri. Na ndio kwa sababu mkiona tunapigana nayo, tukubaliane ya kwamba hii loto itoke hapa iende mahali nafaa ikue. Tutaenda around kila mahali na tutashika hizi loto.
Now, a section of Pentecostal Assemblies of God Eastleigh district members is decrying the leasing of their land without their knowledge. Led by the area overseer Bishop Peter Baraza and resident pastor Nathan Chayuga, the members accused some of their former leaders of entering into leasing agreement for their own personal gain. Now, Bishop Baraza claims that the church received an eviction order to vacate the land before the end of the year, adding that if that happens, over 40,000 members will not have a place to worship.
Hapa mahali si petu tena, lakini for the next 50 years imekuwa list kwa watu wengine. Kwa hivyo hilo ni tendo ambalo limetushutusha, hilo ni jambo ambalo limetushangaza, na tunakutanika hapa kulikataa kwa vyovyote vile. Hili kanisa lilipatikana very early in 70s. So tunashutukia kwa makaratasi mengine ya ambayo inaonyesha kwamba hii kanisa imeuzwa na hatuna mahali sasa kanisa linaweza kushiriki mahali popote.
And now to our top story this afternoon. The 2024 Kenya Primary School Education Assessment KBC began on Monday with over 1.2 million candidates registered for the national examination this year. The government has assured the public that robust security measures are in place with multi-agency teams from the Ministries of Education and Interior established to ensure a smooth examination process. Today, candidates sat for English and mathematics papers, with the assessment set to continue until Wednesday, 30th of October.
Early Monday morning, designated officers across the country, accompanied by local administrators, school representatives and security personnel, gathered at secure storage locations to open the containers holding the day's Kenya Primary School Education Assessment KBC papers. Speaking while overseeing the distribution of the KPSEA papers at the Westlands Deputy County Commissioner's Office, Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba confirmed that the exam irregularity hotspots had been marked with preventive measures put in place. He emphasized that those found cheating will face dire consequences.
We are all ready. The hotspot areas have been mapped. We are ready to undertake these examinations, including areas that have had skirmishes like in Tana River. We managed to make arrangements for the students who are from the affected schools to be hosted in security camps like the GSU camp for them to be able to undertake the examination. So no student is going to be left behind.
A spot check at the Westlands schools in Nairobi saw students ready to begin their KPSEA, starting with the mathematics paper in the morning. And unlike in previous examinations protocols, there were no armed security guards in the school premises. Westlands School Principal Kennedy Cheva observed that this year the guards were only slotted to escort the examination papers en route to schools.
Hapo mbeleni mtihani ulikuwa kabla center manager kama mimi aondoke pale kwa container, alikuwa lazima aandamane na askari mmoja, ama kwa shule kubwa kama Westlands askari wawili. Isitoshe hao askari walikuwa wamejihami kabisa kwa silaha zao za kazi, uniform proper na bunduki tena kubwa. Wakifika shule watoto walikuwa wanaangalia, wanasema we, leo mtihani umefika, na huo mtihani si mchezo.
The opening of exam storage facilities was held in different parts of the country, with county commissioners affirming that security has been heightened to facilitate a smooth assessment process.
We are working together with all the agencies to make sure that the exams are delivered and they are credible as the government has planned.
Tumeweza kujipanga ili mtihani uweze kufika kwa wakati ufaao katika shule zote. Tumeweza kuarifu wale center managers pamoja na supervisors matarajio wale ambao tuko nayo kwamba wataweza kuhakikisha kwamba wanafunzi wanafanya mtihani bila kusaidiwa.
The 3-day assessment is scheduled to conclude on Wednesday, October 30th. On Tuesday, the candidates will sit for integrated science and Kiswahili or sign language before concluding on Wednesday with creative arts and social studies. Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
And once more, we wish all those candidates the best as they undertake this assessment. Elsewhere, senior citizens in Magana village, Thika sub-county, Kiambu County, have found a renewed hope courtesy of a group of missionary sisters. The nuns are running an empowerment initiative that seeks to empower the elderly, especially those neglected, and restore their dignity.
Of a remote village in Thika sub-county, a group of dedicated missionary sisters is transforming the lives of destitute elderly residents.
People like us, a congregation like this one is here, we are able to reach to them and to provide that care, to provide that companionship in the way that we are able to do it.
This is through the establishment of the Mother Maria Campillo House in 2020, dedicated to supporting the less fortunate, especially the elderly. Sister Cecily Wakuthi, who leads the mission at Magana, says that many senior citizens in the villages of Munyu, Magana, Githima and Gatwanyaga have been neglected by their families.
With them we have started different groups. There are those who are making sweaters, because we realize that there are those who are making sweaters kitambo. There are those who are making the baskets, and if you can look at there, we have some few baskets which they have made, and they are also making it very well.
To address this, the missionary sisters began holding gatherings 3 times a year with a view of bringing the senior citizens together for counseling and training in basic skills.
They can also have the counselors, because also they need to be counseled. They have their own problems and challenges of life.
Gladys Wandia, a beneficiary, recounts how transformative the program has been.
Ikiwa unatengenezwa nywele unafurahi, unatolewa nywele inapomolewa, unachonwa tena bure bila kutoa kitu. Kwa hivyo tunafurahi, tunaketi chini, tunashona, tunakuwa tukitegemea hizi vikabu ili ziweze kutusaidia.
Charles Kiarie, who is in his late 70s, says he has found solace in the initiative.
You also have to take action. Kuhusu nyumba yenu, kuhusu mama yenu, kuhusu baba yenu. Na mkubali kukaa chini na wazazi.
Regina Wanderi, a counseling psychologist, says that in addition to providing shelter, food, healthcare and compassion, there is a need to equally bring a renewed sense of dignity to the elderly. Doreen Arange for Lunchtime News.
And in My Culture segment, we delve into the remarkable rites of passage that define the lives of the Ma community, an enduring people rich with tradition. These rites carry individuals through various stages of life, symbolizing resilience, bravery, unity and wisdom. Our reporter Jackie Wambiru takes us to the heart of the Ma community to witness how each rite is celebrated, preserved and continues to shape the identity of this community, keen in preserving its tradition.
For centuries, the Ma community has celebrated life through a series of rites of passage, each a profound milestone. From birth to elderhood, these traditions are more than just rituals. They are expressions of values that bind the community together, shaping not only individuals but entire generations. It all begins at birth. The naming ceremony is held after parents and elders come together to choose an appropriate name that carries meaning and lineage. A child is not merely given a name, they inherit identity, purpose, and the history of those who came before them. As a child grows, another rite awaits, the circumcision ceremony marking the transition from childhood to adulthood.
Aliletwa na wale ambao wametahiriwa na imbie wimbo ya kutahiri vijana. Kwa hivyo ni sifa, na pia hiyo nyimbo haikuwa na sifa, kazi wanaambia ni bure, ng'ombe yenu leo itapeanwa kwa kila mtu kwa sababu haina murani, wewe utatoroka, sijui nini na nini, mama yako atakuwa na aibu. Hiyo nyimbo ni aina hiyo, unaweka moyo kuonesha kwamba usitoroke hapo ni mbaya. Kwa hivyo aliimbiwa mpaka kwa nyumba. Alipofika kwa nyumba, ile maji ambayo alilete alioshwa na kichwa yake na akanyolewa. Baada ya kunyolewa alienda kutahiriwa ndani ya ng'ombe, na anaenda kukalia ngozi ndani ya ng'ombe. Mbona tunatahiri vijana ndani ya ng'ombe? Hawa ni kuambua wewe jukumu lako ni kuchunga hiyo ng'ombe.
It is an event that symbolizes courage and resilience, qualities valued deeply.
Kutahiriwa, kijana sasa alikataa kuamka. Alikaa hapo chini na kuanza kuita baba yake akuja mpatie ng'ombe. Baada ya baba anaita mama. Baada ya mama ndugu ya baba. Kama yuko ndugu yake mkubwa anamuita pia huyo. Hakuja mpatie ng'ombe. Kwa hivyo anakaa pale kuita madada ya mama, mandugu ya baba, watoto ile kubwa ya ndugu ya baba, kila mmoja anaitisha ng'ombe. Na aondoki? Na lazima mpatie ng'ombe. Na ile ng'ombe atapata ni yake. Kwa sababu alipata kwa njia ya damu. Na hapo ndio kijana kwetu anaanza kupata mali yake ya kwanza. Kuamka pale sasa analetwa kwa nyumba. Baada ya kuletwa kwa nyumba, sherehe inaanza. Ile kwa ni kutahiri, sasa ni sherehe ndio inaanza. Sherehe kabla ya kuanza, mzee anakalia kiti, kuna mafuta ya ng'ombe ambayo ile maziwa ambayo amesheka na kutoa maziwa, lakini hiyo maziwa sasa, hiyo maziwa iko ndani, hiyo mafuta iko ndani ya hiyo maziwa. Unapokwa mzee kuanzia hapo right mpaka kidole ya mguu, na unapoka mara 3 na wazee wanaomba. Hiyo ni maombi sasa inaanza. Baada hapo mama pia anapakwa, anakuja kukaa next to you, ana karibu yako, anapokwa pia. Baada ya hapo mzee anaondoka kwa kiti. Kina mama wanaingia kuimba sherehe sasa, kwa sababu nyumba tayari imewekwa, ilikuwa miti mbili green. Jana ndio iliwekwa, maana yake alama ya kwamba kesho kuna sherehe wapi kwa hiyo nyumba.
Boys undergoing this rite endure the ceremony with unwavering bravery, earning a place among the community's warriors, ready to protect their people and land.
Kusema tu siku mbili, siku ya 3 anaamka kwenda kuua ndege. Kwetu wakati kijana utahiri anatembea kuua ndege. Maana kuua ndege na vile ile asikae ndani ya nyumba, afanye exercise. Aanze sasa exercise. Na pia kuua ndege iko vitu inatokezea. Kijana anaanza kuwa na marafiki pale. Kijana mwingine akiua ndege anampatia yeye, anamuita ngwenyi. ngwenyi ni kuonesha kwamba ulinipatia hiyo ndege siku hiyo wakati ulikuwa unahitaji ndege ya kuweka hapa. Na wakati mwingine unapewa mchele, mwenzako anapatia mchele, ile mchele zetu inawekwa hanja mbele, ile local kitu gam ambayo inakolektiwa kwa miti na inachomwa na iko mbele hiyo mchele ndio igonge na ndege. Kwa hivyo huyo ambaye anakupatia mchele unaita birian, ule ambaye anakupatia mnakunya naye damu na maziwa, hiyo damu na maziwa inaitwa saroi, mnaitana saroi.
Then comes the rite of passage to warriorhood, where young men progress from junior to senior warriors.
Ni ya sherehe ya pili kwa irika. Kwa ajili kuna sherehe ya kwanza tunafanyishanga hawa kabla kutahiri, ndio waende kutahiri, ambaye ni kama hii tu wako na mabendera, na hii ni ya pili sasa ya kutoa hawa kwa moranism kwenda kwa age ya wase.
In a grand ceremony, they shave their heads and join their elders in traditional dances.
Wananyolewa wengine wote, wanakuwa wazee, alafu hii manyata sasa itakuwa imeishia hapo. Tunaenda nyumbani, wamalize mwaka 3 ama mwaka 4, wengine ya mrengo ya kushoto yao wakuje tena kufanyishwa graduation ama mwaka 7, alafu wakimaliza tena wanakaa mwaka 5, wanakuja kuunganishwa wapewe jina moja tena.
This is a time to celebrate their readiness to shoulder new responsibilities, a moment of unity, bravery, and community strength.
At the end of this ceremony, I'll be involved in decision-making in the society. Unlike previously, my sentiments could not be considered, but right now, after this ceremony, I can say something to Council of Elders.
Marriage in the Ma community is a vibrant affair. Beyond a union of two people, it is a union of two families.
Hatuchagui mume, wewe unapeanwa, familia ingine inakuja inakuoza, wanaleta ng'ombe kwenu, wanakuja kusihi wazazi wako uolewe. Hata tunapeanwa, baba yako anatafuta familia yenye hawana laana, hawana dhambi, hawana kitu kama sasa mtu ameua, tunatafuta mahali sacred ndio tunapeana huyu msichana wetu. Chona tu shanga. Alafu siku hiyo msichana anapeanwa, ile ng'ombe yetu inakuja, ile ng'ombe inanyonyesha ni ya mama. Hizo ng'ombe zingine ni ya baba, na baba anapatia mzee wa rika moja, anapatia ndugu yake moja, kwa sababu mtoto kwa community yetu sio wa mtu binafsi. Mtoto ni wetu wote. Mtoto anabelong kwa community.
Dowry in the form of livestock is exchanged, symbolizing respect, commitment, and the promise of a shared future.
Familia yote, kuanzia father-in-law, brother-in-law, sisters-in-law, kila mtu anakuja anampatia ng'ombe. Anakataa kuingia ndani kabisa, nafikiri mliona. Unaambiwa ingia ndani, unakataa. Ingia ndani, unakataa. Baba ya kijana anakupatia ng'ombe, mama ya msichana, mama ya the mother-in-law anakupatia. Watu wenu wote, mpaka marafiki, mpaka best man, unakataa kabisa mpaka unaona ng'ombe wameisha. Kwa hivyo siku hiyo ukiolewa, you can gather even 20, even 50.
Marriage cements a social bond, one that aligns with the Maasai's values of family and tradition.
Mother-in-law anachukua mafuta, anakupaka tumbo, anakupaka mgongo, akikuombea, anakuambia uwe wangu na Mungu, uwe wangu na community. Zaa vijana, zaa viongozi, hiyo mafuta ni very sacred. Then unapewa maziwa na hiyo gari, maziwa ya ng'ombe ya kina kijana. Ukisha tu kunywa hiyo, unasahau kwenu. That's why kwetu in our community there are no divorce, hakuna divorce.
As age advances, the Ma journey leads to elderhood. Revered for their wisdom, elders are pillars of knowledge, guiding the community and preserving traditions. Their role is sacred, and through them, the voices of ancestors live on. It is a stage of life where reverence and respect converge. When a Ma elder passes on, death is regarded with reverence, and burial practices vary by region and circumstances. Although burial practices are evolving, this reverence for nature and life cyclical journey remains deeply rooted in Maa beliefs. The Maa rites of passage are timeless, resilient expressions of identity. From childhood to elderhood, these customs bind past to present, a reminder that life's journey, with all its milestones, is a gift to be celebrated. Jackie Wambiro, My Culture.
Indeed, a resilient culture there. Jackie Wambiro, thank you for that report. It is 27 minutes past the hour. We're taking our first commercial break. Don't go too far. We still have more for you on the other side of the break.
The Institution of Engineers of Kenya, IEK, invites you to the 31st IEK International Convention from 29th October to November 1st, 2024 at the Pride in Paradise Beach Resort, Mombasa. Join over 4,000 delegates under the theme Industrialization for Economic Transformation and Employment Creation to learn, network, and build partnerships to drive Kenya's industrial future. Register now at www.convention.iekenya.org. The Institution of Engineers of Kenya, a leading voice in engineering.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Lakini wewe ni nani? Sikia hoteli ya Vuma kweli na nini kipi? Hauna habari? Una hiyo hoteli siku hizi? Iko na bonge la toto. Mtoto mrembo ajabu mwanangu.
Mbona kamfukuza Jasiri? Ana romba hata simpendi.
Kuna habari zimeenea. Kuna binti mrembo anatembea kisiwa cha Funzi.
Sasa mimi ni usuna nini?
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, a section of youth in Busia County has urged their fellow youth in the country to explore self-employment. The youth have come together to offer mobile beauty services to residents of the region.
Early morning in the streets of Busia town, a group of young men and women are busy doing what they do best. Elias Munumbi says they ventured to the streets because renting premises to establish beauty parlors is expensive.
Weza afford kukodesha nyumba, lakini kulingana na kaunti yetu tunaweza fanyia nje, tunaruhusiwa kufanyia nje kulingana na Busia County, na tuwezi kukodesha room kwa they are somehow expensive.
Mobile services include pedicure, manicure and facials with charges ranging from 100 to 1,500 shillings.
Wateja tuko nao kwa unisex service, tunakuwa na wanawake na wababa.
Youth wasichague kazi, maana kazi ni kazi. Wewe mwenyewe unatakana create your own employment. Sababu tungoja sote kuandikwa kazi ni imekuwa ngumu, maisha yamekuwa magumu.
Customers say the mobile beauty services are convenient and affordable.
You can get them anytime you need. They are very affordable compared to the salon, and they are very quick.
And in other news, 2 suspects will remain in custody after the Environment and Land Court in Malindi, Kilifi County granted local police 20 days to complete their probe into an alleged land-grabbing syndicate by people pretending to be genuine squatters. Nelson Fondo and Mohamed Amisi appearing before Resident Magistrate Grace Mutetim. They were arrested last week following concerns raised by Kilifi County Security Committee that a criminal gang had been subdividing and selling private lands in the county. The case will be mentioned on November 12, 2024.
Application by the first accused person cannot be allowed at this point, as the IO and the prosecutor have equally pointed out that there is a threat of interference by the accused persons.
And now welcome to the world of business. Africa's first digital marketplace for communications professionals has been launched to connect businesses to their markets in the continent from anywhere in the world. The platform, dubbed Color Precision, supports vendors offering critical communication services and key support services to help grow businesses.
To maintain a competitive edge in today's fast-evolving business environment, businesses must make use of technology. High visibility is a critical growth factor for businesses, helping them attract attention from key stakeholders such as customers, partners, and investors. In this light, Color PR has launched Color Precision, a platform through which companies can connect with target audiences through a network of agencies, media channels, and professional vendors, all in one place, while vendors will be able to receive job requests directly from clients, thereby increasing their workflow and revenues.
And we've onboarded thousands, and not just in Kenya, because it's web-based, so we are piloting it, or rather releasing it to the market in different countries, Zambia, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Ghana, Nigeria, all at the same time. We are helping vendors to access millions of customers. There's the possibilities of also collaboration between vendors. For example, if you have a big client that you do not have capacity to handle, you can actually collaborate within the system, agency to agency.
The platform targets both SMEs and major global enterprises to take African business global while bringing global businesses to Africa.
We had the Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement that collapses a market of 1.2 billion people. It's going to be bigger than any other market, single market anywhere else in the world, because everybody wants to do business with Africa. It's the next market. It's actually probably the last market. This is where it's happening with a youthful population, raw materials. We have everything that we need to make this continent successful.
Every business has a start, and it doesn't often start with a big budget. And the fact that it is Kenyan owned, it's a proudly Kenyan and African owned business. That especially, that innovation is no longer being imported, it is now being exported.
Businesses and service providers can sign up on the platform for free, with closed transactions attracting a 5% commission. Betty Kiptum, Lunchtime News.
Value chain players in the nut and oil crops will be required to be licensed by the Nuts Board if the Nuts and Oil Crops Development Bill is enacted in its current form. The Senate Committee on Agriculture Chairperson Kamau Murango says streamlined licensing will assist in eliminating middlemen from the edible oil crops value chain and set the minimum buying price for raw nuts from farmers.
Tunataka kupeana daraja ambayo iko wazi jinsi ambavyo wakulima wa korosho, alizeti na vitu kama hizo watakuwa anaweza kupata ama kunufaika na ukulima huo.
Kuna bili ambayo iko Senate ambayo itaweza kusaidia sana wananchi wa kaunti ya Lamu waweze kuona kwamba wameuza mali yao ama mazao yao kwa bei ambayo itaweza kunufaisha wakulima. Tutaweza kuona kwamba tumeweza kukatail the cartels ambao wamekuwa wakisumbua wananchi wakiwanunulia mazao yao kwa bei duni.
Researchers at Egerton University have invented a solution to bacterial wilt in tomatoes that involves grafting. Egerton University Don Professor Joshua Ngweno says grafting a Chinese tomato variety and local varieties, the resultant is a resilient plant that matures earlier than expected.
Long bacterial wilt has been a key headache for tomatoes farmers. However, a solution has been found that doesn't involve use of pesticides, rather grafting two tomato varieties, one local and other Chinese. During the grafting, local variety known as Anna is fixed on other rootstock of Chinese variety known as well that is tolerant to bacterial wilt.
With this project, we are trying to score in two ways. One, to reduce poverty and by making farmers to grow tomatoes they can sell, and also the others they can eat. So that is also one objective of this project, is poverty reduction. We are increasing their income by getting big harvest.
Professor Ngweno says trial have been conducted and over 4,000 farmers in Nakuru, Kisumu and Nyandarua counties trained on how to graft the tomatoes.
This project is supposed to empower our rural youth through innovative solutions in tomato value chain, and this is exactly what we are doing. We have trained over 4,000 farmers in greenhouse tomato production and using grafting technology.
He says each grafted tomatoes yield between 18 to 22 kilograms per season, allowing farmers to harvest weekly.
Na production kusema kweli ya grafted ones iko juu kuliko hizo zingine, na tena tunaona hizi zingine hizi zenye hazijakuwa grafted hazitaendelea sana, lakini the grafted ones will continue growing.
This transformative initiative progress, it stands not only to revolutionize tomato farming in Kenya, but also drive economic resilience by increasing productivity and strengthen the national agricultural sector. Felix Q for Lunchtime News.
The East African Community member states are targeting to empower micro, small and medium-sized enterprises to drive industrialization and expand the manufacturing sector. Kenya is working with other regional partner states to develop business-friendly policies tailored to support small businesses. O'Brien Kimani is in Juba attending the annual EAC Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Trade Fair and joins us with the details.
Thanks, Abdiaziz, back there in Broadcasting House. We are here at the East African Community MSME Trade Fair taking place in the city of Juba, South Sudan. This event has been held since 1999, and this time around it is taking place here. Last year it was held in Bujumbura, Burundi, and of course next year it's going to take place in Nairobi, Kenya. I managed to talk to the officials who have organized this event from the Micro Small Enterprise Authority, MSEA, and this is what they had to say.
We have seen, first of all, the improvement of the quality of the products that are exhibited, because we have become more granular about detailing out what products we are coming out with here. And as you go around, you will see, apart from Kenya, most of the other countries are exhibiting very traditional products, but we have gone quite a bit into manufacturing, engineering and innovation, and so there's a lot of products that will be bringing out here. And I can tell you the biggest improvement has come from our manufacturers. We have asked them to externalize their competition so that it's not one competing with the other. It's not one competing with the other, but they are looking at the greater universal market, so that the products, their quality of their products are competing with the likes of Korea, South Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, Taiwan.
Kenyan MSME sector is diverse. We have cooperatives, we have associations, we have umbrella associations, we have individual MSME players, and I think what is good for Kenya is that right from the top, the messaging, the policy and the planning is focused on the small business sector, and that's what the East African Community should emulate. Besides this being an EAC partner state commitment, Kenya wants to continue entrenching the regional leadership in matters of MSME support, MSME trade. Our strategy is to participate not just in this, but to use this as a platform, as a springboard for entry into other regional markets. We have realized, for example, that through this strategy, we can aggregate our MSME products and use that as an entry point to the other regional countries. Last year when we went to Burundi, for example, we had very many MSME associations that have had repeat business. They have networks that are working for everyone, and now they are able to say in DRC, for example, they will be able to get other trade networks in this country, and that has worked for us in all the markets. You may wish to know that when we went to Mwanza in Tanzania, we succeeded, for example, to have a very big market opportunity for manufacturers of animal feeds, machines and the like, who are based in Nakuru. They are now exporting, and they have found linkages to the market in Tanzania and other regional markets.
Those who are here, you must be good ambassadors, you must make good sales, you must be able to represent the country, and most importantly, do some good business.
Well, those are the sentiments of the officials from MSEA, who are part of the organizers of this event. Of course, we're going to be here until the final day, which is on Friday. And of course, we'll keep you posted on everything that is happening here at the ESC MSME Trade Fair happening here in the city of Juba, South Sudan. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Back to you, Hashim, in Broadcasting House.
Thank you so much, O'Brien Kimani, for updating us on that trade fair. Elsewhere, 4 in 10 retail business reported reduced sales in July, August and September this year due to higher prices and reduced demand for some products. This is according to the latest 2024 Ilam Consumer Spending Index, which indicates that Kisumu and Nakuru counties were the most affected cities by the reduced sales by retail businesses.
Retailers in Kisumu and Nakuru were the worst hit as they struggled with sales recording a decline of 59% and 56% respectively due to, among other reasons, higher prices of products. Additionally, restaurants and leisure stores emerged second among the predominant sectors, constituting 31% of interviewed businesses.
There was a turnaround compared to the second quarter. In the second quarter, we saw a majority of businesses indicating that their sales had declined over the last 12 months. But there was a turnaround in the third quarter where we saw a majority of retail businesses surveyed actually reported an increase in their sales over the last 12 months. That led to the retail business sub-index improving significantly in the third quarter of the year.
The report says half of respondents indicated static income levels over the last year, while 30% reported lower income and less than 20% saw their incomes rise in the second quarter of 2024 compared to the same period in 2023.
Increases in income were attributed to people getting side hustles, and then to an extent people also having pay increments, whereas the majority of decreases in income were attributed to struggles in terms of business and also investments were the main factors driving the respective increases and decreases in incomes.
The 36 to 45 age group had the highest proportion of individuals spending more, but this was offset by a large proportion of those aged between 18 and 35 spending less.
The factors that influenced spending was split between increase in prices and increase in quantity of goods purchased, and we find that around 75% of respondents indicated that their spending was influenced largely by an increase in the price of goods.
Large businesses experienced an increase in sale of 77%, micro businesses had an increase of 60%, while small businesses saw an increase of 30%, while medium businesses experienced a modest rise of 2% compared to the previous quarter. Ndutamo Kami for Lunchtime News.
And on the international front, fast food giant McDonald's is resuming sales of its quarter-pounder burgers in all of its U.S. restaurants after ruling out its beef patties as the source of an E. coli outbreak that left at least one person dead and dozens of others ill. The company said samples of its beef patties that were taken by the Colorado Department of Agriculture CDA had tested negative for the bacterium. Details of this and other stories making headlines across the globe is in our news roundup.
McDonald's suspended sales of quarter pounder last week in around a fifth of its U.S. restaurants in response to the outbreak.
McDonald's North America Chief Supply Chain Officer said in a statement, the issue appears to be contained to a particular ingredient and geography, and we remain very confident that any contaminated product related to this outbreak has been removed from our supply chain. The company added that the CDA had no plans for further testing. McDonald's share have lost more than 7.5% of their value since the CDC reported the outbreak last week. Meanwhile, investments in India by Swiss companies such as engineering group ABB and transport firm Kuhn & Gel are on the rise, with the $100 billion region trade deal expected to further open it up to businesses along geared towards China. India's appeal has already reflected among businesses in Europe eager to balance the cost of US-China trade spat and recognition that Chinese economy is, by comparison to India, losing steam. Under the deal, EFTA, whose other members are Norway, Iceland and Liechtenstein, will invest $100 billion in India and will benefit from easier and cheaper access to the Indian market of 1.4 billion people. India expects the agreement to boost its pharmaceutical, clothing and machinery. Finally, French auto parts supply OB Mobility reported a rise in its third quarter revenue on Monday, driven higher by its modules and exterior businesses group despite a deterioration in the automotive market. The group's consolidated revenue came at 2.6 billion euros in the third quarter compared to 2.39 billion euros a year ago. OP Mobility also confirms its outlook for the full year.
Welcome to the world of sports now. FKF presidential candidate Hussein Mohammed has raised concerns on the transparency of the FKF Electoral Board ahead of the FKF general election slated for the 7th of December this year.
After meeting football delegates and stakeholders of Kiambu County, Hussein noted that some polling stations had been moved from their initial venues, raising suspicion of the transparency of the Electoral Board.
We have seen a list that most of our aspirants are up in arms on, and this has to be rectified immediately. Our strong recommendation is that the elections must be held in an environment that is safe, an environment that will show that the process is free and fair, that will show the credibility of these elections, that will be as transparent as possible.
He appealed to the Electoral Board to be honest and conduct elections fairly, as that is the only way to move football forward.
You cannot have a contestant who is the one dictating how the voter register will look like. That is totally unacceptable. And that is why you are seeing so many counties have already petitioned the board in terms of the list of delegates and the clubs.
With 40 days to the most awaited FKF general elections, all the 9 presidential aspirants have been confirmed. The selected leaders will assume office for a 4-year term.
And tonight it is a big night for the world of football, and this is why the 2024 Ballon d'Or ceremony will take place tonight in Paris, France. For the first time in the last 21 years, neither Lionel Messi nor Cristiano Ronaldo have been nominated in the men's category.
2023 Ballon d'Or France footballer is Lionel Messi.
For the 8th time in his career,
Messi is the current holder of the Ballon d'Or after he won it last year ahead of Erling Haaland. However, the Argentina captain did not make the top 30 man nominees for this year's Ballon d'Or, which includes the likes of Jude Bellingham, Dani Carvajal, Ruben Diaz, Phil Foden, Alejandro Gilmado, Erling Haaland, Matt Hummels, Harry Kane, Toni Kroos, Ademola Lookman, Emiliano Martinez, Lautaro Martinez and Kylian Mbappe. Others are Martin Odegaard, Dani Olmo, Cole Palmer, Declan Rice, Rodri, Antonio Rudiger, Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, Federico Valverde, Vinicius Jr., Vitinha, Nico Williams, Florina Wirtz, Grant Xhaka and Lamine Yamal. The winner will be the player who receives the most points award.
Women's Ballon d'Or 2023 goes to Aitana Bonmati.
Meanwhile, the feminine Ballon d'Or winner will be awarded for the best female player. The Copa Trophy will also be given to the best men under-21 player and the Hashim Trophy for the best goalkeeper.
Ladies and gentlemen, the women's Ballon d'Or this year.
And of course, if you're well acquainted with Fabrizio Romano, he has already ruined. We know already who will win the 2024 Ballon d'Or. Of course, don't go to his Twitter page. Elsewhere, Mohamed Salah's late equalizer denied Arsenal 3 points after a 2-2 draw in a highly contested match played at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal led twice but were undermined by injuries to key defenders Gabriel and Urian Timber in the second half, having already been without the suspended William Saliba.
Doing it right. And now it's their turn to try and do something from a set piece. And it comes all the way across.
Now, before we conclude for KBC's Lunchtime News, there is another news item here from Mandera County, where the county government of Mandera has commissioned a fully equipped theatre at the Lafi Sub-County Referral Hospital in Lafi Town. The new facility is expected to benefit more than 3,000 residents, providing life-saving surgical services. The hospital also got a facelift. Speaking at the launch, Mandera Governor Mohammed Adan Khalif said the theatre will allow residents to access critical healthcare services without a need to travel long distances, especially given that the region's security challenges.
We have enacted what we call FIF bill, which means the facility will generate its own revenue, and the same revenue will be reverted back to the facility. So we call upon the partner, the level people, to take advantage of that and also pay for service. These are not tax, these are fees for services.
And that story from Mandera County concludes our coverage this afternoon. But keep an eye on the 29th of October, that is tomorrow on Tuesday, where the case against the impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is set to kickstart, where a 3-judge bench led by Justice Eric Ogola will start hearing that particular case. You do remember there are 2 critical conservatory orders that were issued by the courts, of course, that will be heard and determined. We'll have the latest for you in our subsequent bulletins. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Lensa Odingo. Good afternoon for now, and enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Lakini wewe ni nani? Sikia hoteli ya Vuma kweli na nini kipi? Hauna habari? Una hiyo hoteli siku hizi iko na bonge la toto. Mtoto mrembo ajabu mwanangu.
Mbona kamfukuza Jasiri? Ana roho mbaya hata simpendi.
Kuna habari zimeenea. Kuna binti mrembo anatembea kisiwa cha Funzi.
Sasa mimi ni usuna nini?
What about you?
Me, what?
What do you think of me?
Nothing.
Nothing is good. At least you're thinking of me.
The only person who speaks proper pure English in this entire institution is me, Theophilus Atito.
And the way is your proper English gotten you.
By the way, Atito, today you look very fresh and refurbished.
Rejuvenate.
Then if the new teacher is beautiful and eloquent as you say, then she must be giving Lady Antibella sleepless nights.
Wait, Kinyajui. You mean you can, are you serious, Kinyajui? Yes. So you mean he can, Kinyajui, so I can give you a... No.
Money, it's the root. Money, it's the fruit. Anyway you see me come around, oh. Anyway you see me come around, I'm proud to be black.
Ushakala who make the dance all pay. Ushakala who make the people them a rock.
Tell them the tourists, live life to the fullest. How you expect we gonna wear if you say down by your head?
I grew up in a place called Ensom City, Spanish Town grooving, everybody nice.
We will be shining. It could even be the darkest nights. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
One, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth wake the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Cold,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hadija ai, money especially ukisonga.
Hello everyone and welcome to this new edition of Initiative Africa. From the theatre scenes in Ouagadougou to the art galleries of Paris, Africa is reinventing its cultural future. Despite significant advances, the continent's cultural industries continue to face major challenges. Let's find out more in this new edition, but first, here is the summary of our program. Monique Sawadogo, director of the Mabayasa Company, shares her vision of theatre and the cultural scene in Burkina Faso.
We move a lot on stage. We have dance and music in our bodies, and our culture allows us to go anywhere on stage without much scenery.
Africa is redefining its cultural future by embracing the challenges of the creative industries.
Monetizing art means being the best. We must work to be the best and go beyond our small world. We must educate ourselves, have self-control, improve our technical skills.
Paris was in the mood for African art. The continent's cultural institutions invited themselves to the capital to showcase their artists.
I also said to myself that as an immigrant child I had a duty to adopt this knowledge, to transmit it to the inhabitants of the village, and to transmit it to the diaspora.
The cultural industries on the African continent are undergoing a complete metamorphosis. As artists and creators shape a new paradigm, Africa is clearly at the crossroads. As Africa strives to make its mark on the world stage, let's explore the challenges and opportunities that are shaping Africa's cultural landscape. Find out more in this report by our correspondent, Ologe Aidaso. Here's an extract from one of the highlights of the second edition of the Benin International Arts Festival. Inyas Don Metok is on stage. Like him, many African artists in various fields are striving to create and promote a creative cultural industry on the continent. However, this industry is still struggling to emerge fully in Africa. It faces a number of challenges, most importantly, the perception of art in Africa.
If we take art, dance, sculpture and all that, it exists in Africa. But all this is an integral part of our way of life. We don't consider it a commodity. It's a gift. We see it as a talent that the artist shares with everyone, which is how we recognize the great artists. But we don't put a price on their know-how. We don't put a price on art. It's only now that this idea of turning art into an industry is starting to take root in Africa.
Other obstacles to their development include the lack of adequate funding, the weak structure of the institutions responsible for supporting these cultural industries, the lack of training for artists to take advantage of technological advances, and various other hurdles.
Finding investors is the first challenge. Today, if we want to go to scale, we need to find investors who will support us to grow and develop export of our products. There are also other barriers related to mobility in the sub-region on a continental scale. All of that is sometimes quite complex.
Experts say the economic contribution of the cultural industries exceeds that of telecommunications, high technology, pharmaceuticals, and automobiles. The creative cultural industries are among the fastest growing sector in the world. According to the website afriqueletribune.fr, Africa's share of the global market for creative cultural industries is estimated at between 3 and 5%. However, according to cultural operators, African cultural industries have the potential to capture a larger share of this market and compete with those from other continents. To achieve this, they stress the need for greater awareness of the potential of the continent's cultural and creative industries and a restructuring of the sector.
Monetizing art means being the best. We must work to be the best and go beyond our small world. We must educate ourselves, have self-control, improve our technical skills, and make them come together.
We have a lot of work to do regarding the legislative framework and strive to establish federations to get the players to work together.
The second level of intervention is to mobilize increased investment in these industries, including increasing public funding to enable the continent's young talent to shine.
I believe that cultural industries will never survive if our governments are not prepared to fund them so that they can really take from an economic standpoint. This is fundamental because an African cultural industry that exists today on the basis of funding that come from afar is an illusion, a great illusion. The big funding has to come first, and it has to come first locally, and then when the others add to it, it's only then that this industry will really start and flourish. In my view, we must also continue to educate our partners, be it public authorities, sponsors, patrons, potential African investors, or investors beyond the continent.
The creation of African synergies to confront the global giants is the third level of intervention proposed by the experts. It is essential to build a regional ecosystem that allows the continent's culture and creativity to carry weight on the international stage. Mechanisms need to be put in place to enable African players to negotiate effectively with the major players in the global creative and cultural industries market. On the world stage, Africa's creative and cultural industries are undeniably present, but they are still struggling to make their mark. However, They could shine even brighter and become real drivers of development if African authorities choose to restructure and adequately fund them. Our guest today is Monique Sawadogo, a theatre and film actress. She's also the director of the Maasai company in Ouagadougou. Founded in 1992, the company has become a reference on the Burkina Faso theatre scene with a reputation that extends beyond its borders. It offers unique adaptations of European classics such as Molière, Voltaire and Sophocles, while incorporating elements of African culture. Take a look. Monique Sawadogo, hello and welcome to Initiative Africa.
Bonjour.
You are an actress and the director of the Maasai company. Your most recent shows are Candide l'Africain, Antigone Imaku, and L'Avare et ses Calebasses. Why do you adapt plays by Voltaire, Sophocles, or Molière?
Nous, on adapte Molière.
We adapt Molière, a lot of Molière's plays, because they speak to everyone. What happens in these plays raises awareness among people here in Europe. In Africa, it's universal. That's why we work a lot on Molière. Forced marriage is universal. Greedy people and dictators can be found everywhere, whether in homes or in politics. They exist. We need to draw people's attention to these realities and remind them that something must be done to change them.
Each time you transform the titles with African references, what is special about your staging that gives an African touch to European plays?
You have to understand that in Africa, we already have an oral culture, so we're used to storytelling, and we Africanize play. The difference is that performances can be more static here in Europe, whereas we are accustomed to moving around. We move a lot on stage. We have dance and music in our bodies, and our culture allows us to go anywhere on stage without much scenery. We become the set, the text, and the costumes. We keep the stage set up to a minimum.
Do you transform the text?
No,
we do adaptation, re-adaptation, because these texts were written hundreds of years ago. We adapt them to today's world so that they speak to today's audience.
Your shows are performed in France, Germany, the French, West Indies, North Africa and West Africa. How do you manage to reach audiences from a village in Burkina Faso to a theatre in Paris?
Regarding our shows, it must be noted that in Africa, we have a culture, and French is taught at school, so everything is presented in French. However, when we perform in rural areas, we can adjust the script to include 70% Maori language and 30% French to ensure everyone can understand. In Germany, for instance, we will perform in French with subtitles. Language is not a barrier for us. We want the audience to comprehend our message.
The message behind the play seems to be very important to you. What kind of message are you trying to get through with L'Avare et ses Calebasses, for example, which is your latest creation?
The idea of L'Avare came after COVID. Director Guy Giroux asked us, what can we do to make people laugh, to make people feel good? Because it was such a disaster, everyone was lost. He suggested L'Avare and I said, yeah, why not? L'Avare will make people laugh. It would bring people back to the theatre. Because people were at home, they weren't going out. Everyone was afraid of each other. That's where the idea of L'Avare, the Maasai, came from, to make people laugh.